It's reopened. That's good.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Friday Mastermind. We are officially kicking this off from Las Vegas the day after 2025 Modern Mortgage Summit and Modern Real Estate Summit. Love all these comments, or I guess the reactions. Let's make this one of the most interactive Friday Masterminds. We've got some of the speakers in this room. We're going to bring them on stage. We're going to spend the first half debriefing on what were our biggest takeaways from a full day of listening to, was it 10 speakers?
It was
11?
14, 15-ish, something like that.
Well, the Modern Mortgage.
Modern Mortgage was 12.
So 12 keynotes,
maybe
15
10.
minutes. And then the real estate was 4 or 5?
5 on the real estate.
5. So 2 separate events. We're going to debrief that. And then somewhere around halftime, Todd is going to lead a workshop where we just how do you take great ideas and execute and walk us through a process. Please, when Todd starts doing that, there is going to be some participation in comments. So please participate. If you're watching this, a recorded version on the YouTube channel, put comments down below, play along. Todd, anything you want to say to Frank?
Well, I said it before we started recording. It was crazy when you and I realized that we actually started this in 2016. So when you count out 2016 to 2025, this is year 10 of us doing the Friday Mastermind, which is
good 10 years, bro.
Freaking crazy.
Cheers to the next 10.
And just always grateful for the opportunity. And it's fun to get to do it live, right? Especially here where we're in a room and we've got another, whatever we got, 4, 5, 6, 7 people in here with us. And so it's going to be a good day for all of you. We're going to hopefully unpack the event. Hopefully you watch the event, right? We'll have an opportunity for you to do a free 10-day trial of Modern Mortgage. So if you didn't watch the event, there will be an opportunity. They're cutting the video. It renders literally till today. It's such a big video file. We'll get it set up in the Modern Mortgage IQ platform. You'll have the opportunity, if you missed the event, to do a free 10-day trial and check it out in there.
Yeah, so we will put a link down below, whether you're watching this in YouTube or right now in comments, how you can sign up and get access to that. And so people that bought the tickets will get just a full live feed of the event, and that they'll log in to get that. If you are in Modern Mortgage IQ, you will have each presentation broken up into that individual presentation so that you can actually use it in training. If it's a part of the realtor content, you can use it for lunch and learns, masterminds with agents, and then the loan officer content you can use to upgrade your team. So anything else you want to frame before we get started here?
The only thing I'd throw in there is if you were part of the virtual event yesterday and you're like, hey, when can I rewatch it? It'll probably be uploaded by the end of next week. So don't sit there with your fingers crossed, ready to rock and roll in the next couple of days, because it does take a while to get it all up and running. But we're always excited. We always get it in there. We always get great feedback. And I think the big thing is, I'll hold my thought on to the action plan part, but let's just jump in and go.
All right, so let's do this. We're going to bring speakers, and we have Eric Post, who is our AI guru. Eric was live here. He's the founder and CEO of Hoozy. We're going to bring him in a minute. But let's start with Matt Adler. Let's bring Matt in. Why don't you stay up with Matt? Matt Adler delivered a 15-minute keynote. He absolutely crushed it. It was the first time he was a speaker at the Modern Mortgage Summit. So one, I'd love for you to tell, what did you think of the overall event? And then share your top takeaway with everybody.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So this event was outstanding. Actually, to be there live and to meet so many of I'm getting pushed forward, to meet so many of these outstanding loan officers who we see on these videos and we see interviewed in person. And they're all so cool, so approachable, so great, sharing what's making them successful. It was an event I can't wait to do next year.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, right? Because we always struggle because everyone loves the people that we've had on year after year, but it's also an opportunity to get new faces to show up in the community and to really crush it. For those who don't know, you're from Detroit. Give a little background in your business and kind of who you are. That would probably be good because Dave forgot to ask you.
No problem. Yeah. So I'm from Detroit. Been originating for a bit over 20 years. I work with a credit union in Detroit. We've got some of those big guys, UWM, we've got Rocket, that last year did about $180 million, 460 units. So mainly purchase and new construction business. So credit union's been great to me, and it's a great year to be an originator.
And your alter ego is Batman?
Don't tell them.
All right.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that today because my work phone that I have is red and I always call it the bat phone.
Oh, yeah?
Most people are too young to realize what the red bat phone is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Adam West.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's it. So I've always had a red phone for my work phone just for that reason.
Love it. I'll
So-
feel it.
All right. So Dave wanted to know, so what was
Mhm.
your big takeaway? Was there one speaker that said something, whether it was in the mortgage or real estate summit, that you felt was like, hey, that was the thing I need to focus on?
Yeah, let me look at my notes because I've got here James Allen, who's also
another
new
newbie.
here. I think I took the most tidbits from him. One of my favorite things that he talked about was sharing his playbook with new realtors. And when he's meeting those new realtors and they say they have an existing lender relationship, he'll share his playbook about how he helps his buyers get offers accepted to that realtor to say, do that with your lender, and knowing that they're not going to do it. And then that realtor will come back to him and say, all right, I'll give you a shot. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, I thought so too. And I feel like one of the conversations we were having, because we've got a great room here and we were chatting beforehand, was how every speaker delivered something different for everyone in the room. But it's like kind of depends where you're at in your business, right? So I'm hearing you say that, which tells me you must be focusing right now on acquiring realtor relationships.
Always, yeah,
Yeah.
always acquiring, always leveling up on that. That's actually something that Denise was talking about, right? Always trying to bring on new agents. What did she say? I think 5 new agents.
Yeah, 5 new agents that you're basically connected with. I mean, and she's really was focused. I heard a lot of people, especially talking about tracking, right? It's super important. That was one of her things. And then, the fact that she's like, you got to actually work 60 minutes a day. And I always laugh because I'm like, that's just 1 hour. She's like, that's 4%. But I'm always shocked at how many loan officers I talk to who don't even put in that time proactively moving things forward.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because everyone's distracted, right? I mean, that's really what I think kept me from being a great loan officer prior to me becoming the win by noon guy and really focusing my mornings on those most important priorities. Was I allowed my email and my phone to be the things that set my schedule for the day versus me actually knowing that I had to do those proactive things to grow the business before I reacted to everything else that wasn't as urgent.
So planning ahead maybe gets rid of those.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it's a blinding flash of the obvious, but it's always those good reminders because I often find, there's always going to be a brand new idea or two, but most of what we hear is high level execution of strategies that we already know.
Yeah.
And then what happens is I think it resonates with us based on where are we good, where are we struggling, and kind of where is that focus. And so I always think it's my favorite part of the event is hearing from other people what they took away and why they took it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Anything else you want? I mean, you'll get another chance to share a takeaway.
Sure.
I want to bring Eric Post in. Anything else that you want to call out before we bring in Eric?
Yeah, one other thing, just talking about the stuff that we know we need to do, but don't actually always do it, was Shayla's team. It was Amanda Ray. I loved what she was talking about. One of the things she said she does every Tuesday is a status call to every one of her agents. And that status call she's done every single year for 10 plus years, and realtors have become dependent on that, and that's helped her earn new relationships. And I thought, yeah, that's a reminder, something we all actually need to do. Pick up the phone, talk to people.
So can I real quick just highlight what I loved about what Matt said? So what I loved about your conversation yesterday was you used the Clover machine, which most people probably don't know, just like you don't know my Batman reference, at Starbucks to really help a real estate agent understand that you've personalized the experience every step of the way. So number one is I thought that was really cool. And then the other thing that you said was that you meet with people live and you actually build the total cost analysis for them while they're there, and you're pulling up rates and they're seeing all of that stuff. So you're kind of opening the curtain and letting them see kind of how the sausage is made behind the scenes, which I think is a really unique way to have transparency, to really show people, hey, you know what, it's a little bit different. Those of you who are members of Modern Mortgage IQ, you can go back and watch Denise Donahue's presentation from last year. And she walked through her borrower presentation and she shows them, she called it her rate board, where she's showing them how rates work. And I thought, but again, I was blown away by it last year. And then she does it a different way than you do it. So I was like, okay, that's probably what I need to be coaching loan officers on this year, because people think it's a mystery. And I think when you peel back the curtain and you help educate them, you've created an experience. And that was kind of my big takeaway from you, is that you're talking to your realtors and showing them, hey, this is the experience I create. And then you're actually creating a different borrower experience, which is transparent, face to face. And remind me, was it all on Zoom, or is it some of it in person, or both?
A mix.
Yeah. And so just keep that in mind. If you didn't watch that, or you didn't have that takeaway when you rewatch the event, I would pay attention to him walking through that experience. I think it's something that all of you can execute on.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. So don't leave yet.
Oh.
So first of all, make a note, guys. A guy who closes 180 million in volume, over 400 loans, and he's always learning, and he's always taking value from the reminders. So if a guy like this is that in tune, I would just push everybody, watch the content. It's going to be available to you. You can get 10-day free access to it. And then, of course, that community is going to be an amazing resource going forward. Make sure you tune into this, guys. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
And you're not done. I mean, go sit down. But ready? Let's bring on Eric Post. So we had Eric on the mastermind, I don't know, a month-ish ago. This is a guy who has owned real estate companies. He's been a builder, understands housing in a pretty dynamic way over the course of decades.
Yep.
Today, he is leading a startup for AI. He's focusing on the mortgage and real estate space. So here's someone who's really studying, like, how do we help realtors use AI to be more productive and more valuable to consumers? And then he's also like, how can AI be used for mortgage professionals to be more productive and more valuable to both realtors and homeowners? So with all that said, what were some of your takeaways? And chop up a little.
So first of all, by the way, good morning. I would say, first of all, man, I mean, the speaker lineup was so solid, but the ladies especially stuck out for me. I don't know, there were some dynamos up there that
just
really
power
killed it. Lacey Newman stood out to me for there's something about her spirit that I thought was really captivating. Everybody had great content, you
Right.
know, but there's something about where she came from that was really special, that I thought that's what makes her special with her clients. It's her. Not all the strategies, it's not all the secret sauce, it's not all the, it's her. She became a person of value that people wanted to know and be around. I think that was just a really great example, and she embodied that.
So by the way, I was gonna share my top takeaway later, but it plays off so well of what you just said. I was trying to think, what was the central theme of every speaker? And then Ken DeLeon just put the cherry on the top of it. And there's a level of self-love and personal pride
For sure.
that they all just have,
For sure.
because they have put in the work, because they have the skills, because there are things that they do consistently to be valuable. They just have a confidence and a love of self that's pretty uncommon.
None of them ignored the fact that their business couldn't be any larger than their personal development, you know, and so everybody on that stage had a passion for growth, had a solid mindset that just could weather any ups or downs that this industry will throw at you. And that was just a really common thread throughout the day that was just obvious, even if they didn't talk about it over.
Yeah, and Ken DeLeon, who's the #1 realtor in America, 3 out of the past 10 years. He did over $1 billion in real estate last year. He did over $500 million in buy-side transactions. So,
And he's a good dancer.
yeah. Well, and he actually took a very different approach where he shared 3 just significant, like the kind of tragedies that all of us hope that we would never experience, from near-death experience to the loss of a sibling. And he shared, like, hey, how he took these horrific events and turned them into making a better self for himself. So and then his authenticity, you know, he's like dancing on stage. He's literally one of the most unique people you've ever seen, but his raw authenticity just shined.
It turned people, you know, from like, who's this guy and what's going on, to just, oh, I get it now. Like, that's who he is all the time, 24/7, and there's no charades there, which is super refreshing. And that's the other thing, like at the bottom of it, I think their unique individualities is what gives them their unique selling proposition to the market, and they just leaned all the way into it.
What would you, as a guy who's an AI entrepreneur and studying this more than anyone, was there anything that was said where it made you think, like, this is how loan officers or realtors should be using AI right now?
I loved any conversation that was around personalization, and being able to use AI in that way is a home run for me. I mean, the world's super noisy.
Like, give us some examples.
I give you an example. Well, okay, so first of all, the stats show that it's going to be about 90% of the content online is going to be AI created by the end of this year. Okay, so
Wait, what?
90% of all internet content will be AI created.
Well,
by the end of this next year.
AI created or AI augmented?
AI generated is what the actual stat is.
But when it said generated, does that mean, like, let's say I used AI 3 generations and then I edited it, so I augmented it.
Well, I didn't write this stat, so I don't know. I don't
Because I
know.
don't believe
But-
that, because I know
I'm
I'm not by the end of the year just like AI, do my content.
Because people are leaning all the way into automation for social media content, for the blog writing and whatnot. And there's a whole thing called the dead internet theory that they're basically saying like, hey, well, if AIs are just talking to AIs online, like then where are all the people going to be?
Mhm.
Essentially, right? And so we're honestly seeing that. Like you can actually see Instagram and Facebook, the platforms themselves, they have AI generated content only. They're creating these influencers that are AI avatars, so they don't have to pay human influencers, right? So they're driving traffic to their own AI avatar accounts, right? So it's really hard to get, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so they're, why would they pay a human being, content creator when they can just spin up an own AI and create their own influencers, right? So it's going to be just a super noisy world when everybody can produce content at that volume, right? At scale. And it's getting better and better, right? So it's not like it's terrible content. It was, you could tell every listing generation that's done by ChatGPT currently, right? But it's getting better and better. But the problem is like I have AIs that are out like managing my LinkedIn as an example. There's just AIs talking to AIs out there, right?
What describe to everyone in this modern mortgage IQ platform, which guys will put a link down below. You can sign up right now, get a 10-day trial. What are he's a partner in that, and he's putting AI enablement in that.
Yeah.
Describe to everyone like the kinds of things you're going to do to make both modern mortgage IQ and first home IQ AI automated.
From the outsider looking in, when I first saw the programs, it was obvious that the real value is in the human capital that's there, the quality of individuals that are in the community or that are acting as guides or that take a mentorship role in the community. That's beautiful. So instead of leaning into what the platform does or as a software, we're going to lean in and just do some extra tools to give access so you can chat with a Shayla or chat with a Dave, right? Or after the course, we're going to take all the transcripts and then make a little AI agent that can act as a resource for people following up after the class, right? So these next 30 days, you guys did a great job from stage saying that it's not what you just learned, it's what you do in the next 30 days that really matters. So I figured we could put a little tool in there that would help people like, oh, what did Shayla say? And put it in context of me and my business, ready to go, right? And so you could take the information out and contextualize it for your marketplace, your area of specialty, and then take those good ideas and now get running with it.
So guys, that how long do you think it will take until we'll have that in the modern mortgage IQ platform?
After I get all the content from you, 3 days at most, just because of our
So pretty rapidly, we will have that type of functionality in it. And one of my central messages from the stage was the fortunes and the follow-up. And I want to expand what people think about when they think of follow-up. Like, not just how much are you following up on your leads, but when you go to an event like that, how much are you following up on adopting? Like, everything that you learn from that stage or everything that you're reminded from that stage means that you probably need to unlearn one way of doing things, and you need to learn a new way to do it, and then you need to turn that into a habit, and that takes time. So it sounds like we're really going to help create a lot more.
It's huge.
A lot more value.
I mean, there's a lot of great events we all go to, right? All of these notebooks and a lot of our good ideas just end up dying in here. So as an example, like what I do after an event now, I'll just literally, because I love handwritten notes still, so very paper pen. But at the end of the day, I'll just take a photo of it and upload it to Whoosy and have Whoosy transcribe the notes, put it in order for me. I'll give it a prompt to, put this in order of importance, give me suggested steps I should take and add whatever dates to the calendar that I need to.
Love that.
So you take the notes out of your notebook and make them live and give them to your AI assistant, and then you're 80% of the way, like really, really quickly. So leverage tools. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, we'll bring you back in a minute to another idea. Let's bring Todd on. So I shared what I thought was my central theme and biggest takeaway. Todd, what were some of your big takeaways?
It was interesting to hear Eric talk about the fact that most people talked about improving themselves and then improving their business, right? And so I do think that that's a common theme of our community, right? We're all super achievers. We all want to increase who we are as a human and then also increase our businesses as well. And so I always think that that's a huge takeaway, but I really wanted to dig in on the tactics, right? So I divide the day into two halves, right? Obviously mortgage and then real estate, and then really look at, first and foremost, what can I look at for myself for personal improvement in all the speakers? Secondarily, what can I get for my own team to coach them and help them be better? What do we need to be implementing that we haven't been doing at a high enough level? And then I look at for what are the the tips and ideas that I'll bring to this community. And so I looked at it through all those lenses, and then I went to this real estate event and sort of do the same thing, right? What can I learn that I can help my team with? And then what can we talk about and bring to the community? Because ultimately, in the end, I always think it's that law of diminishing intent, right? The further we get away from yesterday, the less likely you are to actually do anything with it. And I'm still chewing on all the AI stuff, the 90%. I'm chewing on the fact that, I have notebooks full of notes that I can now shoot and have AI transcribe and actually take all these things. Cause I'm like, oh, I got this drawer. Now it's in a box of old notes. And I'm like,
Scanner,
I was going
baby.
to scan it. I don't know. I'm just going to take a picture of it and upload it to Whoosy. So I think there's just so much opportunity out there for us to get better. But I think the challenge is that it could be overwhelming, right? I could sit here and be overwhelmed and then just be stuck because there's too much. And so I think that's where, when we get to the second half, I'll sort of walk through some processes of how you can take yesterday to turn it into action.
So let's kind of go there, because there was so many ideas, and Deborah Bird's going to come up at some point. We'll get an idea from her, but let's transition from the debrief on the event. Although if someone has a question, like, put it in chat. I'll be monitoring that. So if you have a question, put it in chat. But here's what I would love: everyone who's on Zoom right now, or you're watching us on Facebook right now, if you were at the event and you got one takeaway that I'm going to implement this, put that. If you were not at the event, is there one idea that you have on your implementation list? The more that we can get everyone who's watching this virtually to actually, like, let's drill down on an idea that we want to, like, it's a great idea, and now I want to turn it into execution. And by the way, execution is, it, you do it, and do it so well that you can teach it. You know it so well that you know it, you can teach it, and it is a habit of yours. And then level 5 is your results prove it. Like, you have taken this great idea, you have completely implemented it, and now you have checked your results, and your results support that this habit is giving you a return on investment. So with that said, put that in chat. We're going to go look at this in a minute. Todd, why don't you kick off the implementation workshop?
All right. So there's a couple of things, right? So here I am. I've got, everyone who showed up live. So I would maybe put it on your list of things for next year, right? It'll be sometime Marchish. We're going to be doing this here again, live in Vegas, most likely. I don't imagine we'll change the location. And, what I would say is, you've got the opportunity to come out here, unplug from your busyness of your real world. If you've got the budget, and then sit in the room with, there's 50 chairs, and it's divided between speakers in there watching. We've got, industry folks who were part of the day, that you would know their names and see them on stages, coaches and otherwise. And then we've got people just like you who are originators that are looking to grow. And then you're sitting there side by side with these folks. Like, Dave and I were the only two people brave enough to sit in the front row this year. Normally the front row fills up first, but we had Shayla and her team right behind us, super engaged, right? And so number one is, you got to be engaged. And it's a lot easier to be engaged when you're there live in person than when you're watching it and you have the distractions and the ability to actually walk away and do something different. And so now what you've got to do is take your notes, right? So we've got our little notebook that we create. I put my name on mine so they all look the same. And I've got notes literally from every person. And then if you looked at mine really close, I circled things on there as I go through of what my priorities are. So I go through and I look at each speaker, and then I look at my notes, and then it's hard to read my notes. I'm not the neatest writer, but I can train AI now to read them for me. And I'm just going through and I'm highlighting, 1 to 5 things with each speaker, and less is more, right? Less is better. The problem is we get too many great ideas, and then again, we don't go. And so I can literally go through every speaker in this book, and I can see, okay, well, what was it that I took away from Jeremy? What did I take away from Shayla? And so my initial run through is going to be, in the end, to narrow it down. And I'm guessing when I get done, I probably have 30, 40 ideas, right? It's not going to be a short list. And so I'll put those on the left side of a piece of paper, and then I'll make 2 columns. And the 2 columns are going to be from 1 to 10. How impactful will this be on my business? 10 is, this is essential to my business, and 1 is, it's just a cute idea. Well, guess what? There's going to be no ones that make that list. They're all going to be 7, 8, 9s, and 10s. And then the next column is going to be, how quick can I implement this, right? Can I implement this like today? That's a 10. it's going to take me a week, then that's going to be an 8. It's going to take me a month, that's going to be a 5. And so I'm going to go through, just total them all up, right? And so what'll happen is I'm going to allow my most important things I can execute the fastest will have the highest number, and I'm going to start working on those now and get those rolling. Now, the other thing that I would normally think about is, okay, I've got a team, right? I've got a personal assistant, I've got other people, and what can I delegate to other people? And so I'll be thinking through the delegation list on that. And then now the other part, and again, it's just where transparently, I just don't have the knowledge yet, but what could AI do for me, right? And I like what Dave said. I think that there's AI can do it all for you. I'm not there yet for me personally, but what can AI help augment and speed up for me to help me get there faster? And so that's what I'm going to be looking at for myself. And then, so that's where I'm going to start. And then next week, when the content is up, well, I'll be out of the country, but when I get back from my vacation, I'm going to dig back in, and I'm going to go back and rewatch the content for each of those things. So if I pick out, like I've got my I've got my Jeremy thing up here, right? And so he talked about his 4 E's, right? And then so I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, Jeremy's got these 4 E's. So if that makes my list of the things that I want to turn around. Now, what I can do with Jeremy's 4 E's is I can take those 4 E's and I can turn that into opportunity for me. I didn't write down what all the 4 E's were, but I got energy, execute, energize, others. And so I've got these E's. So let's pretend I knew all 4 E's still, because my brain doesn't remember from yesterday. But I can actually use that one for social media content, right? I can say, awesome. Hey, I recently was at this cool event. Jeremy Forcier, amazing loan officer. He talked about the 4 E's, and let me share them with you, right? So that's social media content. One is I can use that with realtors. Hey, I was at this event and I really had this thing that was impactful. I thought you might want to hear. It's called the 4 E's. And I could actually do that one-on-one with a real estate agent over the phone. I could meet him for coffee. I say, hey, I just went to this great event. I'd love to unpack for you my top 5 ideas, and I'd like to share those with you. So there's lots of different ways we can use these things, but I'll go back and rewatch those just so I can dig back in and make sure that it's truly top of mind and fresh. And the challenge probably for me is, it's probably going to watch the whole run of show, because again, different experience sitting there, great notes, but now I got to actually turn back in and reevaluate it from a different perspective, a different day, a different time.
Wow, I can't wait to dig into this. And what I want to do now, we're almost about the halfway point, is we're going to pick an idea here that we're going to talk about implementing. We might be able to get through a couple ideas. I did want to make sure I got out one more takeaway I had from the event that came from Kyle Whissel, although I'm pretty sure that every person on that stage shared some version of this. So Kyle Whissel is the #1 EXP agent in the world. And then on top of that, he's a prolific real estate investor. Going from memory, he owns 1,000 apartment units, 750
Storage units,
300 mobile home units, and he's currently under construction with 200 apartment units. And by the way, guys, he got started with his first house hacking in his 20s, and then he's built an incredible real estate portfolio. But two things I took from his presentation is, one, that the best of the best, they're investing in real estate. Like, if there's one thing that is AI proof, it is real estate. So if you're in mortgage and you're in real estate, one of the 8 pillars is money. You know how to make money, you know how to save money, you know how to invest in money. And my recommendation, if you're in mortgage and real estate, you should have some strategic investment. Like, no, do you need to own 1,000 units and have a complete side business in real estate? No. But should you have some real estate portfolio? Probably. But to me, what stood out is he talked about standards, and then he talked about how he implements standards in his organization. And I would just tell you, like, the rigor he went through, and like, these are the standards, this is how we manage these standards, was pretty uncommon.
Yeah, it's funny because standards is a word that you and I've talked about a lot, right? We rewind 3 years maybe. We interviewed Andrew Paul, Navy SEAL in the mortgage space, and we went through what the standards are in the military, right? And that they have standards and they live by those standards, and that in business, people just don't have that same operating system where
They don't have the clear standards and
right.
clear operation around it.
Or they think they have them, right? They didn't actually take the time to write them down. Or even if they did write them down, they don't really hold themselves to that standard. I think that's always the challenge. And I always look in the mirror on that as well, right? My committed standard is 10 quality conversations with real estate agents on any day that I'm in town working. And I hold myself to that standard. In a day that goes by where I don't hit that standard, you know, I roll to the next day. So if I only did 7 today, tomorrow, then I'm going to do 13. But I look at myself in the mirror the day I only do 7 and say, well, why didn't I hit my standard, right? I hold myself to that standard. And that's really where coaching comes in, right? Is having someone to hold you accountable. And so it's one of those things where not everyone can afford a coach, but you really have to have this opportunity to figure out, you know, how are you going to do that for yourself if you need to do it. I like this. Dave's got us going here. We got the we're on his phone. You can't tell, but we're looking out here in the hotel. We're overlooking the mountains in Las Vegas. It's beautiful.
Yeah, we have a pretty
kind of
cool,
nice.
pretty cool view. So let's do this. Let's huddle real. Oh, go ahead.
Let me just throw one thing on the financial literacy side of things, right? So let me throw out a couple of tools. If you go to toddbookspan.me, that'll take you to my link tree. So just toddbookspan.me, it'll take you to my link tree. And I've got 3 things on there, I think, that are different levels of wealth information. Number one is that you can sign up for the 10-week course that I'm doing with First Home IQ. And so that's going to be good for anyone who really just wants to see what are the basics and what does First Home IQ content look like. I've done 4 classes. I won't be doing one for a few more weeks just because of my travel schedule, but I'm doing all 10 classes. They start off really basic. It's designed for kids in high school, right? I've got a large group of people that are going through with me, from kids, the intended audience, to past clients of my teams that are adults but want to have that information. Lots of real estate agents, and guess who they're bringing? Their kids. And guess what that is? That's an opportunity for business generation. And a lot of mortgage professionals just like you who want to see the First Home IQ content. So number one, that's on the link tree. You can sign up to get into watch the ones I've already done, and then you can also get on the Zoom for the other ones. Number 2 is I've been really intrigued by a guy named George Antoni, wrote a book called The Banker's Code, and a couple of series there. And that's just like the tiptoe into the ideas of velocity and money. And there's a link in there that he gave me. I've been part of his program now for a little over a year and a half, maybe. And so he just said, hey, if you want to share this upcoming class, he's got a half price. It's $47. It's 3 days. It's a tough 3 days. It's a little slow for you smart mortgage people, but it's a really interesting perspective on things that you can bring to, first and foremost, for yourself and then to your clients. The class is $47. It's not till next month, but that may be something that would be worth investigating, just to learn a little bit more. Really, his program's designed for anyone who can have $1,500 a month of free cash flow to invest. I think it's a really interesting opportunity. And then it may not be on there right now, but I'll make sure it's on there before the end of the day. But there's also a link for Be Wealthy, which is the higher end group that I'm part of, where Brett Tanner, who's just really super smart guy, has a room filled of mainly real estate investors, people who run big teams, wholesaling businesses. I've been in the group for a few years. Shayla Gifford's in the group, Josh Meadows in the group. So we've got a good real estate. But if you're like at that next level and you're really trying to think about, hey, can I do private money? Hey, can I fix and flip? Hey, can I do seller financing? Hey, can I do blank, blank, blank? This might be the group for you as well. So just let me know. Those are the resources I'm putting out there, because I think there's kind of like, you know, small, medium, and large options for financial literacy.
And keep in mind, in the Modern Mortgage Summit, one of the pillars is money. And Todd and Shayla are both guides who will be creating guided experiences around what it means to be a modern mortgage advisor and what it means to be a level 5 when it comes to the money pillar. So guys, let's brainstorm real quick. Let's both of you guys get in here. Todd, stay up here.
Real close.
And let's get in. Let's pick a topic, like an idea that from the event that we want to have Todd lead us through. How do we turn that into a habit? And I've got a couple ideas on that, although you're the leader of that. Like in my head, I think there's a lot of people that watched it and there's a tactic like, oh, I want to start using MortgageCoach, or I want to start a podcast, or I want to start doing video, or I want to start using AI. You know, that's going to be one genre. And then to me, one of the most important things everybody can do is I want to upgrade my mindset. Like, and I don't know how to do that. I do know how to do that, but what should we pick? Should we pick mindset, or should we pick a tactic to like go from idea to execution?
I think it'd be fun to watch Todd try and do a tactic in front of everybody live.
A tactic?
Yeah.
What tactic?
Because mindset's so mindset's for him.
Well, mindset's hard, I think, to teach other people.
Okay.
Right. You know, I'm really fortunate. I've got Jonathan Roach as my coach, and he's all about mindset. And I think that is so important. So that would be the quick thing. Go back to the YouTube channel, the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, type in Jonathan Roach if you want to get an upgrade on mindset. That would be a place to go. And if you're a part of Modern Mortgage IQ, we've got just put in mindset IQ, and you'll be able to get.
Yeah, when you go in and you
mindset
click on
videos as
mindset,
well.
all the content, and I can tell you right now, Ken DeLeon's presentation
Will be
was an
there.
extraordinary mindset, and I would be a great workshop to do with realtors. Like, hey guys, let's work on mindset. We've got the #1 realtor in America, the #1 buy side agent. Let's watch this and then let's talk about it. So what tactics? And by the way,
Oh,
go ahead.
no, I was just thinking like how when I was just observing and all the speakers, it was the nuances that they paid attention to. It wasn't these mind-blowing, like total transformation of a business. They cared about the little nuances, the small little details, and all those small little details stack up to make a huge difference. But it wasn't just one thing,
Well,
right?
yeah,
And
I
I find empowerment in that, right? You don't
Yeah.
have to change everything, but you can do just 2 millimeters each day. And
Mhm.
I think that's like liberating for a lot of people. So I don't feel this heavy burden. I got to change everything in my business, right? And revamp just these small little things each day.
Well, so let's do this since we have Matt here and he talked about client experience.
Yeah.
Let me just talk about a couple things that I already mentioned earlier that maybe you can help people on if we can kind of coach them through how to integrate it. So I think the first thing that I would say, the first one that I would pick is when I hear someone say, I do all of my meetings on Zoom or in person, which we heard a number of people say yesterday, and we heard that starting last year. And I know that for a fact that people who meet with people, whether it's on Zoom like this or meet with them face to face, that they have a higher conversion rate. But the first thing I hear is people like, oh, I can't do that. So walk me through the script. First off, it's a mindset decision, right? My decision is going forward, I will meet with all my clients face to face. So if that's important to you, write it down. Going forward, that's going to be my new standard. I will meet with all my clients face to face, and I'm going to invite them to meet with me in my office. And if they can't, I'll go to Zoom. So some people are like, I'm going to meet with them in person. And so are you giving people the choice to meet in person or go Zoom, or are you trying to get them one or the other, or you don't really care?
I don't really care.
Okay.
But quite simply, I only give them the options of scheduling a calendar invitation, and they only have the option of in-person or Zoom. There is no other option.
Great. Okay, so that's a mindset change right there, right? So you're using technology,
Yep.
calendar link, and they get to choose. And so when they register there, it gives the choice in person or on Zoom. So that's number one. And then walk me through the scripting ahead of time before you send them that, because obviously, well, maybe not. Obviously, are you preparing them for the fact that, hey, I'm going to send you this link so you can pick the meeting option, or how do you do that?
No. I mean, the doctor, if I call my doctor to get an appointment, they're not preparing me that appointment's only going to be in person. So my script to an email, a text, introduction, whatever it is thanks for reaching out. Look forward to learning more about you and what your goals are. And here's a link to my calendar to set up a time that works best for you. That's literally all I say. And very rarely do I have any objections, because that's just how business is done.
And what if somebody says, oh, I don't want to get on Zoom, or, oh, I don't want to come in person? Does that happen ever?
So sporadically that I can't even think of an example right now.
Okay, because
Yeah.
when we talk about mindset, right, we have our negative voice, right? Jonathan Roach talks about we have a voice choice, negative or positive voice. And so the negative voice always goes, well, that's just going to be hard. And here you're saying you did over 400 transactions last year and you met with all of them. Is there a time, 30-minute time, 15-minute time? What are they going to see as their option?
Pre-purchase consultation is what we're talking about initially. So we're not pre-approving at that point. It's usually going to be a 15-minute window. And because it's scheduled, people typically adhere to that time frame.
Well, and it's sending them a reminder and a calendar and all of that. And so do you block your calendar for 30 minutes just in case it goes over?
Yeah.
Or you just stick to 15?
No, you have to have a little spillover. Otherwise, you're going from one appointment to the next, and you don't have any time to mentally recover.
Right. So pro tip on that, I use Calendly, and Calendly allows you to buffer before or after. So when I do a meeting, I actually do like 25-minute meetings instead of 30-minute meetings. And then I buffer after all of the meetings. And you can also buffer before the meeting. So you could buffer 5 minutes to prep if you had to review their loan application or something like that, or you could buffer more time. But it's always good to have a little more time than less time. So if I schedule a meeting for 15 minutes and let's pretend it buffered another 15, I had 30 total. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if it only took 15 minutes and I had 15 minutes to breathe afterwards, 15 minutes to react to other things. And so I think that's personally for me, when we go back to the tactic, I would love to start there of getting my team to meet face to face with all people going forward. Like that's going to be probably my top push. And so I think it's just an easy choice. You don't even need Calendly to do it. I think it's super convenient. You also talked about your process, right? So are you getting introduced it sounds like via text It's a joint text with your realtor. So you've also trained them of how to do that.
Yeah, yeah. A few people talked about that yesterday. Some people even have a script of how to have your realtor introduce you. But I think anytime you have a joint email or preferably a joint text, there's a little bit of an accountability for the borrower to respond. You know, so it converts a lot better.
Yeah, again, you got to decide what works best for you. And I always believe the realtor should pick what works best for them. What I'm seeing with my team is that the text intro works better than an email intro, because most of the time clients are slow to check their email, but they're fast to check and respond to text. And I just think, how easy is that? You're not saying, hey, let's get on a call to schedule the call. You're just like, here's the link and let's go.
Yeah, I hate that back. When are you available? I don't know. What time are you available? Or this, and also it creates a schedule for me where I'm not taking as many evening phone calls. I'm not taking as many weekend phone calls. So,
Right, because they're finding a time during
Yeah.
business hours to work. So
Yeah.
let me give a couple of other pro tips on the Calendly thing. Number one is the worst thing you can do to hurt trust is to have a link that says they can meet with you tomorrow at 4 o'clock, and then you to be like, oh crap, I got carpool at 4 o'clock. Like, you have to own your calendar. You've got to go in, you got to look ahead. One thing that Calendly allows you to do is it allows you to pick different schedules for different types of meetings. So I could have a schedule that allows for meetings only between noon and 4:30 Monday through Thursday, and then only from noon to 2 on Friday. Because guess what? I actually have something that looks like that. I've also got a Calendly that allows a little more time, that allows it to actually go later in the day on Friday, or maybe earlier in the morning for like internal meetings or other meetings that I allow to get on my calendar before noon. And so you have that ability. But I think it's nothing is worse than, I've had people say, oh, I showed up at my, for my massage or my hair appointment, and the person, even though I schedule on their link, they're like, oh, so sorry, there was an error on my calendar. And so you've got to just own that and be good. So that's just I talk a lot about the ideal week and the planning ahead. And so you just have to plan ahead, look at your calendar. If you're going to open it up, you can open it up for 1 week at a time, 2 weeks at a time, a month at a time. Open it up for short windows, and just make sure that every week you're looking at that. Because again, not to get too much in the weeds, but it's super easy just to set it up once and be done, and you're good to go.
AI,
Go ahead, jump in. Yeah, no.
Because we're talking about like leverage, and so doing consultations over Zoom is great because you have all the transcripts, so you can log that to your contact record for follow-up, and it's just a beautiful thing. But at the top of it too, like even with scheduling now, it's like you could use an AI agent that would act as your scheduler, give them the Calendly link. Sorry, Dave, thank you. Tricked me in. The AI would be in charge of your Calendly link, but then it would also do things like, don't forget at the meeting notes, these are the 3 things that it needs you to be prepared for, right? Or it would deliver, here's the PDF that you would need to download and fill out before our meeting, and things like that. So you could give them a really cool experience with an AI agent as well. It just costs virtually nothing.
That's great. I'm thinking of a script of, hey, before our meeting, make sure you get on the do not call registry to avoid trigger leads.
All those things.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to deliver as part of that meeting experience, PDF download, the link to the calendar, all that stuff can be done. That's
Well,
fun.
we're going to have to bring you back and do a little workshop on that,
Sure,
guys.
yeah.
Remember, go check out Whoosy.ai.
Yes, sir.
Whoosy.ai, we'll put a link down below. How much is it to get signed up? Or
Like we have agents starting at $49 a month that will have like
And it's month to month?
Yeah, month to month.
So month to month, go check it out. It's designed for realtors and mortgage professionals to be more effective, more efficient, and more valuable.
Top of my to-do list, get signed up for easy.
All right. So let's do this, because before we run out of time, another central theme, while everybody that was on that stage is gaining market share and doing all the right things. They all coach people. They all have a lot of loan officers that they're responsible for. And everybody else is not doing great. Like a lot of people are in the struggle bus. Loan officers are still leading the business. So in the spirit of no loan officer left behind, let's just do a little mindset workshop. Like, what are the things you could do right now to upgrade your mindset? So I'm going to go first with a couple of actions, and then I'd love to hear everybody give some feedback. And Todd, I would love for you to bring us home on, guys, if mindset is something you need to upgrade, here's the plan. So here's my thoughts. So one, Jeremy Forcier, who did an incredible presentation. He's really always working on his mindset. In fact, he's made a commitment that every day this year he's gonna do a ruck walk. To the obsession point that he's actually, when he travels, he's bringing his ruck with him through the airport. Like, talk about commitment. And so personally, I think the number one thing, and it's not one thing, but if there was one, call it thing you need to master, and I'd call it your morning. I can't tell you how many times I've done walk and talks with loan officers. I've left masterminds. The people that don't have whatever their morning rhythm is, whatever they need to do to win by 7 or 8, or whatever the time is they need to win personally, the people that do that consistently typically have a really good mindset. And the people that don't have, you know, they're not getting enough sleep. They're not drinking enough water.
Why are you looking at me when you're just saying those things?
I
I feel very attacked.
wasn't looking at you. Are you not getting enough sleep?
No, we're nervous.
Okay. But there's to win by noon, you got to win by the morning, and there's something you need to do. What's your number one thing you do to keep your mindset high? And then next, and then Todd come in and workshop it.
Have a routine. Have a routine to stick to every single day, the morning, the day. That way your day doesn't take control and take over your day. You can actually structure things, and then it's a lot less chaotic, a lot less stressful, and you feel like you've actually accomplished something.
You have 3 to 5 things that are routine that you always do in the morning.
My whole morning's routine. Yeah, certainly.
Give us a couple.
Workout, coffee, spend some time with the
He
kids.
likes his coffee.
I love my coffee.
I love my espresso.
Yeah. But all that stuff so that once I get to the office, I have a clear mind. I'm stress free and I'm ready to conquer the day.
What time do you usually get to the office?
8:30 a.m.
8:30?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Morning routine? Or what are the things that you're doing that upgrade your mindset?
And first of all, I think a lot of salespeople fall in the same trap that your charisma is kind of your ceiling until you implement systems, right? And so all the things that got you to this point where you can grow a team or have more clients are the same skill sets that'll stop you from growth, because it's just your charisma that got you there, right? So until you add a lot of systems and processes or accountability, that will be kind of your growth cap, right? And so these sorts of like little self-discipline things are the biggest form of self-love. And I like to start my day off with some sort of routine. It's not the same every single day, but absolutely making sure that I've got rid of the stuff, right? And then I can focus on the client experience. Changes your business completely. So whatever you need to do in the morning, if it's a cold plunge, man, one of our employees, Rick, he did 801 days in a row of a cold plunge. All right, I think today's 801.
Love that guy. I need to talk to him
in a row. Like when he travels, like get him a hotel, and you have to have a bathtub so he can fill it with ice and do his cold plunge. And is dedicated, right? And there's just literally no excuses. His standard is that there's no excuses. And
This
that's
is my
rare
guy.
event.
This is like, I cold plunge when I'm at home, but I don't when I travel.
Yeah,
But
it's his thing.
real quick before you come in and workshop this, Todd, is there anything that you can think AI can be used from a mindset upgrade?
Oh, completely. Because a lot of what stands our way is our own BS. It's all stories that we're telling ourselves, and AI doesn't care about those things. So if you have a clear mission, you have a clear objectives, it will kind of help remove all the emotional baggage associated with those things, right? And really kind of like give it a system, as a framework, like Six Sigma or some sort of like urgency and priority list, and that will just really kind of eliminate the noise and just get you right to it much faster than your own kind of like, how do I feel today? It doesn't. Your business doesn't care how you feel; it cares about your systems, and AI can help you do that.
So I love that. One of the things I would throw in there, because we all know this, right? If we upgrade our morning routine to get ourselves going before we get to our work routine, that's always great. But I love the story that 801 days. I love Jeremy, 365 days of rucksack. I actually enjoyed starting my day. I was doing a walk in the morning and I saw Jeremy. We had a 10-minute walk and talk while we were going. And that was actually really one of the highlights of my day, was catching up with Jeremy. However, the challenge is that
Videos from.
I'm not sure.
Well, we'll see if hopefully you guys can hear me. But they may be
Okay.
perfection is difficult, right? So I may or may not have been up at about just a few minutes past midnight last night, maybe sitting with a couple of people at a table in Las Vegas, and I realized, oh my gosh, I didn't check my steps to see if I had my 10,000 steps, and I'm on a roll of perfection there. And I had that minute of negative talk and frustration, because of the fact that I because of the fact that whoops, we're going back and forth here. We're moving now.
It works.
But I had that negative thing. And thankfully, by the way, I did 10,981 steps yesterday. So I was like, but I was disappointed that I was going to ruin my streak. So you have to be careful with that when it comes to the mindset of making sure that you're okay with making a mistake every once in a while. And that's the challenge with streaks. It's great, but it also can hurt. I think for me, it's gratitude. If I want to upgrade my mindset, it's gratitude. And so the change for me was I tried to write it every morning, and I'm not a great journaler, but I love handwritten stuff, right? I'm a planner guy. You all know that about me. But what I've been doing is minimum of three gratitudes when my head is still on the pillow before I get up out of bed, right? What am I grateful for? And then I'm doing three things when I lay my head at the pillow at night. What am I grateful for? And that's been really helpful for me because it's just three. Sometimes it could be 10 things that I say I'm grateful for. And then I also do have it in my planner. So then I'm getting up, I'm writing in my planner, what are three things I was grateful for? And then the next day I'm writing what was my high of the day before. And I think gratitude is one of those things. Someone said it from stage yesterday. You really can't be grateful and angry at the same time. And so I think that's one of the key areas where it's really helped me out, especially after, last year wasn't a great year. There was a lot that went on personally that that was pretty tough, but the gratitude practice for me was my number one thing to help me have positive mindset.
It's interesting because we all want this illusion of free will, and to just, hey, I'm a grown adult. I can do whatever I want during my day. But yet, if you want to be an Olympic athlete, you don't have unlimited choices. You have to eat at a certain time and go to bed at a certain time. And so the higher your goals, the fewer your choices. And just kind of got to weed all that out. There's really success leaves clues. We saw yesterday that there's few fundamental things that every single person has, and those are not mysteries. So what a cool thing is you can see it all on display and just replicate all the things, make it your own, and go to town. It was a great day.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I'm wondering, we got Deborah Bird. She showed up, so
No, she didn't.
I just didn't know. I just didn't know if we were going to bring her in. With our last 10 minutes
How
to.
can we not bring in Deborah? So if there was one takeaway, and I know we're putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
What would one thing be that you thought was super valuable?
Just the power of being in a room with other professionals that are playing at a higher level than you are or at a lower level, but the collaboration brings the entire room up and can completely change the trajectory of the path that you're on. I think Shayla hit on that both last year and this year. And so just the energy and networking and getting to see people face to face. I think sometimes we get trapped behind camera and on Zoom, and you can really connect and dive deeper with people when you're face to face. So I think it's important to be live and get into rooms that will challenge the way that you do things and make you think bigger.
We've always heard that thing that you're a sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And JJ Mazzo said, if you hang out with clowns, you'll find a circus. And I thought, what a great way to say that, because I really feel that is probably a challenge, for a lot of people. For me, that's always been my thing. And that's why, again, I say it all the time, and how grateful I am for Dave for the 10 years now that we've been doing this, because he's upgraded my game a ton, right? I think differently because I get to spend time with Dave. And then I'm like, okay, well then who are those other people? I guess Deborah could be on that list too, since she's standing here.
No.
Absolutely.
He's
Absolutely on that list, right? And so I just think about that, but it's who could you surround yourself with? But I do agree, and I said it at the opening of this, right? It's a special room when we do this. It's the 3rd year we've done it live. And I kind of like this format. I'm going to throw it out there live while we're there. What I think we should do next year is for the people who come live, it would be fun. We could end up having, 15, 20 people in here, right? So, we've got
especially when you're in a suite.
We got Deborah and Allison here behind us. We got Walt, we got Adam. We've got a crew of folks here that are here, and then we're going to spend an hour afterwards kind of brainstorming and masterminding. And so I think maybe this will be the format. I'm going to vote for
Maybe
this
you
for
could
next
get a
year.
bigger suite and have a
Commit to this for next year as
you heard
the
it,
way
not just committed.
that we unpack the Friday event. But the bottom line is yesterday was a great day because we had great people in there. Go ahead, Debrief.
One more takeaway was the power of community. So you guys said, you've been doing this for 10 years. That 10 years is a long time of consistency. And you go back and look at y'all's original YouTube videos.
Great.
They were horrendous, guys. Like, if you need to go back and get a good laugh, the audio was terrible. The video's not great, but you only get better through the reps. So For those of you
That's
who
correct.
are listening and worried about how you look, don't worry. Like even these guys sucked in the beginning. We all suck at the beginning. So there's hope. But it does take
We're in the
consistency.
room, by the way.
Yeah, I would say that. But look at where you guys are now. If you wouldn't have been consistent and if the motive wouldn't have been pure, where you weren't focused. Oh, good. We see some hand claps. See, they like that.
They agree with you. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
they did suck.
Yeah.
They're still not great, but it's
Everybody sucks at the start. Don't worry. There's hope. But it does take that consistency and a heart of gold of just wanting to give value to a community where you're not obsessed of just likes and followers. And over time, that consistency builds to a community where you can put on something like this. So thank you guys.
Well, I appreciate that. And I think it's the whole idea of, you know, how do you do this in your own little world, right? You have an opportunity to create community. That was, you know, kind of one of the other interesting things that I observe. When I talk to some of the producers who are on stage, they might not have presented on it, but they've created communities of their own as well, right? We talked at the beginning about how there's an opportunity to take the real estate agent content in the Modern Mortgage IQ platform and then lead events. So Lori Richardson, who if you look on the YouTube channel, you'll see she's been on here multiple times talking about her client for life, her annual mortgage review, annual financial review process. I've already talked to her. I know she's already got a meeting scheduled with her real estate agents where she's going to break down. I don't know which one she'll use, if she'll use all of them, but she's going to replay. She didn't watch it live with her realtors yesterday, but she's going to use the content in the platform, I think in a couple of weeks, and replay with her agents and create a little mini mastermind around it. So that would be the other tactic I would encourage y'all to think about, right? You've got the content in there and you can use this year's content to start because it's this year's content. But literally you've got enough content in there that you actually can do a mastermind every month where you play a portion of a session or play the whole session of one of the conversations and then dig in with your realtors about how they can implement it into their business and careers. You can be that person who's bringing value to them. You can be the person who's leading them to be who they want to be, which I thought was, again, one of my other interesting takeaways that I took from James Allen. He said, be the champion of who she's yet to become. He said that's what he is for his wife. So that was super impactful to me. But he also says that to his realtor partners. Hey, I see you as being the leading realtor in blank community, and I want to help you get there. And so he sees that with his people and he's creating that community. And so I think that's one other tactic that hit me that I think I could do a better job with. And I would encourage you to think is maybe that's something you could do.
So here we are, guys. We got like 3 minutes left. I want to throw one suggestion out and then have you and Deborah close it out. So I don't know if I said this in the opening, but at some point in the event, I made a comment that it's never been more clear what a mortgage advisor needs to be to gain market share and win. I mean, between our YouTube channel, there's a lot of great podcasts out there. There's a lot of great coaches out there. Like the path to success has never been more clear. But it is being a modern mortgage advisor. So if you have not taken the Modern Mortgage IQ assessment, it's free. We'll put a link. Make sure you take that. And I want to challenge everyone to take that assessment and then pick one thing that you need to do to upgrade and be better. And then I want you to pick one thing that, you know what, you're really good at and you could teach and help realtors be better at this modern. Like, what is that? And then pick that one thing and then pick a session from the Modern Real Estate event. Pick one of the realtors that can help you teach that so that you're doing two things. One, you're working on something you need to work on outside of it. And then two, you're picking something that you're great at and you're bringing that to the real estate industry and you're using the platform to do it. So that's a thought. Todd, why don't you two close it out?
All right, I'm going to speak next, and I'm going to let Deborah close it out. You
Lovely.
only have to close it out.
Lovely.
I'm going to let you be the final word today. So what Dave did was he added on, right? Made my suggestion earlier of how to filter through the ideas. He took it and he leveled it up, right? He leveled up because he said add the filter of the Modern Mortgage IQ assessment. So go through that and then add that in as one of the criteria. So when you look at it, and you narrow it down to 3 or 4 or 5 ideas. If you look at and realize, hey, my mindset IQ is the one I've got to work on the most, then great. Then go in there and then focus on whichever of those top ideas matches up to what the assessment says, because that is another voice telling you what you may not see, right? You could have a blind spot. You could think, hey, my mindset's amazing. And then you fill that out and it's like, your mindset's just okay. And so I think that's an opportunity for you to get that second level opinion. And so I'm going to add that onto the checklist.
Mine would be a fun one.
Shocking.
Yeah. If you're struggling with your personal brand, then I challenge you to think of the one band or maybe the one song that you think best describes you, kind of your energy. Like if you had to pick a walk-up song, which song would you pick and why? Because we heard a lot of the speakers kind of give some background on why they chose the song they did. And so my challenge to you all is, could you identify which band, based off your attitude, your vibe, your personality, the way you do business, who would it be? And then let us know. I'm curious.
And by the way, mine is It's a Beautiful Day by U2, because every time that song comes on, it inspires gratitude. Like, it's a beautiful day. So I love, by the way, I love that idea.
Yeah.
So guys, put that in chat, figure that out, play it to yourself. Todd, or who's going to close it out?
Paul said Creed. I love that.
Ooh.
For me, it's American Author's Best Day of My Life. I did start the year saying I was going to listen to it every day this year, and it just doesn't. Not every day. If I'm on the way to the gym, I listen to it.
It's my live Bon Jovi. I love that.
I saw him in concert.
You know, and Madonna. There's no Madonna made my daily playlist. I got Fight Song by Rachel Platten, and I've got Beautiful Day by U2 on there. And so
I was gonna say bring sexy back.
yeah, that's I never.
Did a lot of comments.
I don't even remember what was our walk-up song when you and I did our presentation on exactly what to say.
It was the Kendrick Lamar, from the Super
Oh,
Bowl.
it's from the Super Bowl. That's good. I was like, that was such a good one.
Yeah.
Because I was at that Super Bowl, remember? When the Eagles won?
You guys listen.
So great.
All right, sorry.
So repulsive.
Sorry. Here's the bottom line. The bottom line is I think we laid out lots of tactics for you. I think that you know what's most important to you, right? Dave can't tell you that. Deborah can't tell you that. I can't tell you that. But what we can do is encourage you to take the action, right? I said law of diminishing intent, right? Every hour, every day that goes by from once we get done with this conversation today, it's less likely you're going to actually act. And so I would just say, if you're watching this live, can you carve out an hour today to do the exercise, or can you carve out a couple of hours over the weekend? I think it's a great opportunity. No different than Dave, Kristen, and I already have time on our calendar for us to debrief the event while it's still fresh in our minds.
All right, guys. So this is a wrap. If you have not followed SavageInsights.com, go follow SavageInsights.com. Whatever the most important video that I think everybody needs to watch to go from loan officer to modern advisor is at the top. Whoever I'm interviewing next is at the top, so you can sign up. All you folks that are on Zoom, you can always go to Savage Insights and get that. If you have not subscribed to Savage Insights Mobile Club, a couple times a week, I am sending a text with the most valuable content to go from loan officer to data-driven modern mortgage advisor. Hope you got value today. If you have not liked the YouTube channel, be sure to like it today. Todd?
Dude,
It was a wrap. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend.